Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to Tekpon. Today our guest is Michael, the founder and CEO at Walls.io. Hello.
Hi, Christian. Hi, everybody in the Tekpon community.
Very, very nice to have you here. Please tell us what is Walls.io.
Yeah, sure. So Walls.io is my second company, actually. It's a social media marketing tool. It's a user-generated content hub. So it allows marketers to collect posts from all the social media platforms around a certain topic, brand, or hashtag, and curate this content and optimize it to reach their marketing goals. For example, to put this user-generated content on a website or on a TV screen or on a mobile app. Everywhere a marketer can use authentic user-generated messaging, reviews, photos, experiences to convince their audience to buy. Basically, that's where our tool comes into play.
What do you say is the biggest problem that you solve with Walls.io?
Automating and making this process of collecting the content as automated and painless as possible. So you enter your hashtag and then you get all the posts from Instagram, Twitter, from Facebook, and so on in one place. So we make this process of gathering the content much easier, automated, and more painless. We help you save time with that, basically.
That's awesome. But why should brands use a social wall? What are the benefits of it?
So in the end, it's all about what is your marketing goal. And if you're an online marketer, what could be your goal? Usually you want to sell something. Either you run an e-commerce store and want people to buy your products. Or if you are an HR marketer, you run a career page and you want candidates to be excited about the company and send an application. Or if you are running a hotel and you have a screen in the lobby, you maybe want to present what other customers are saying about your hotel to convince new customers to also share their experiences. So in all these cases, you can take a piece of social media content, use it on your website, e-commerce store, on your career page, or on a TV screen, and convince and use this authentic content for others to engage positively, hopefully, with your brand. So that's the whole idea.
Thank you for sharing. I'd love to hear the top 3 most loved features of Walls.
Oh, that's a very interesting question. So I would start with the basics. At the core, our product is a content aggregator. So that means we have an engine that pulls in from all the social media platforms and stores it in one big database. That sounds trivial, but actually that is the core functionality, and it's also the reason why we are often perceived better than our competitors, because our engine, our core just works better. It works faster, it gets more content, it's more accurate, and it's more stable. So this is like the basics really, but it's super important to our customers that the basic aggregator works really well. The second most loved feature I know, and not just assumption, we know this from customer conversations, of course, is the versatility, how you can use the content on your website. So we have a range of different layouts. You can have like a waterfall type presentation. You can have a slideshow that is more animated. You can put the stuff, the posts on a Google map, so and you can also customize that, of course. Customize it to fit your own brand identity, your style guidelines, and that's all very easy. So that's the second one. And the third one, I'm already almost done, is actually a little bit counterintuitive because, like I said, we are pulling in content from social media, but we now have a feature since 1 or 2 years that actually allows your audience, your customers to contribute content without having to go through social media. So that's a bit counterintuitive for a social media tool, but we have learned that in many cases, people want to contribute, want to share their experiences, but they don't want to post it publicly on their personal Facebook account, for example. And of course, that makes sense once you think about it. And then building a feature that would allow these people to directly post to our social wall is actually definitely in the top 3 of our features.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. I'd love to hear the most common industries of your customers.
Yeah. So we started out in the event business. So everyone who wanted to use social content on a trade show or for a conference at the stage on the big screen, that was the original use case. But we are now we started like almost 8 years ago. So we are not like exactly super new to the whole category. Actually, I think we were so early that we helped shape the software category of UGC.
Awesome.
Well, yeah, there's sometimes you can be a little bit proud also, right? I mean,
Yes.
but to your question, nowadays in 2023, I feel that user-generated content, social media content, is important in almost every industry. So it's really a topic that goes even to boring industries or high security industries like finance, pharma. We have a lot of traction here. Manufacturing. A few years ago, social media and old school industrial manufacturers was not a good match, but nowadays everyone is using social media. For example, in employer branding. So that means we are very agnostic to industries. I did mention the event industry. Another big cluster of customers for us is higher education, universities and stuff like that. But other than that, it's super distributed from sports to hospitality and tourism, e-commerce. It's really a very, very diverse range of industries using our product.
Wow. And what's your favorite customer success story out of all those?
To be honest, that changes from week to week, month to month, because we are
Okay.
super proud to work with. For me as a founder, owner, CEO, of course, it's always the most cool thing if you work for a brand that is highly recognized, that I can show my mother and tell her, hey, we are working, and she understands. If I say we work for Cisco, she doesn't even know Cisco, right? But to answer your question, my most favorite brand or customer in the last few months must be Ferrari, the Formula One team of Ferrari. Well, they started with Formula One, and that's the moment I've described. When you watch a race, a Formula One race, and you look very carefully, you can see when the camera shows the pit stop of the Ferrari team, you can see our social media wall on a big screen right next to the driver. And that's basically, of course, the moment when you as a founder are especially proud when you see your product on a TV screen in the Formula One race. That's pretty much hard to top.
Wow, congratulations. I'm super happy for you.
Thank
Wow.
you.
Do you have any integrations to the product?
For our product integrations.
Yes.
Actually, we started a partnership program only 2 years ago, so relatively new, and we are focusing on two types of partners where we are doing technical integration. The one category is virtual hybrid event platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're using Hopin, for example, for your virtual event, you can very easily go to their marketplace or app store or whatever they call it these days, pick Wasayo, and we have done this little widget on Hopin. That's super important for a super important growth strategy for us, of course, to be present in as many app stores and marketplaces as possible. I think right now we have 15 plus integrations with virtual event platforms. The other big category is digital signage software. So software that people use to run their TV screens at the office. So, you have like companies with hundreds of screens, and you need a software management system to control these. And again, on these digital signage platforms, we aim to be integrated into their app store so that people can easily put our product, the social wall, onto their TV screens. The third thing that is, sorry if I go too deep.
No rush.
The third integration that is, of course, really relevant and interesting is being integrated with Zapier. Offering a basic Zapier integration enables our more advanced customers to do all sorts of crazy things using our product, and sometimes we don't even know what they are coming up with.
I understand. Thank you very much for sharing. I appreciate the transparency. I wanted to ask you, what do you think about Twitter's change to X? I know you are one of the first companies to adapt to...
My God, now you really have to stop me, because I could talk to you about this for 3 hours alone about this topic. So,
okay.
I mean, if you're interested to discuss this a bit broader, it started in February, not with the X rebranding, but of course when Twitter introduced when they started charging for their enterprise API. Obviously, this is like this changes the game for companies like ours. People in the software in the social media SaaS space, like us, but also like my other companies, Wasayo, and all of our competitors, obviously are affected if you suddenly have to pay $42,000 per month for data that used to be free or much cheaper so far. That was obviously not a very pleasant surprise for us, but in the end, we were able to adapt our current pricing model and are sort of okay with the change now. It's still quite expensive, but I will tell you one thing: I prefer to be a paying customer to all these platforms and get some sort of service level than just to consume for free. I wish they would have gone for a more reasonable entry level package. Everybody does, but yeah, it's fine. And by the way, the alternative, not using the official APIs and maybe do scraping like some of our competitors seem to be doing, is something we don't consider. I always said personally, I want to offer a stable service, and that means official API. So that's the one part, the pricing change. Not very happy about it, obviously, but it is what it is. Now regarding the branding, of course, that's a different story. I think in the end, nobody can give you the answer. We will see in 1 or 2 years whether it was a stroke of genius on behalf of Elon Musk or it was the beginning of the end, right? We don't know. We don't know how fast he can deliver on all these great ideas, what this new X brand and X app will accomplish for us, financial services and whatever. So I would say the jury is out for that. We will not know in the next years. But however, I agree with 1 or 2 things. I agree that the Twitter brand, while it is well known and worldwide recognized, it definitely comes with a baggage of history and problems. It is super limited to this kind of short messaging, and nowadays Twitter is beyond that. There's a lot of video, for example, and of course, it makes sense if you change your service or product significantly, like Elon Musk has been doing the last 6 or 8 months. There's some can make sense. A rebrand can make sense. And what I find fascinating is how fast they pulled it off. So when they announced that first, it was on a Sunday, I think. I was almost certain it's just a joke or something that will never materialize. And then yes. 2 days later, we had to change the icons on our website.
Wow. Okay. And you mentioned some pricing changes to your pricing packages. I'd love to hear the current pricing, if you can share with us.
Yeah, so our product Wallseo is available in 2 flavors. We do offer. I will start with the more easy, the simpler one, and that is one-time payments. We call it event passes. Now, as a SaaS guy, you don't like one-time payment, right? You like recurring revenue. So for me, as a SaaS guy, it was kind of hard to accept that there's a certain segment of our customers who just are not ready yet to buy a subscription. They want to use our product for one trade show. And so they will never sign a 1-year contract, right? Maybe they go for a monthly, but then they churn again, which artificially bumps up our churn numbers. So that's not very nice. Nobody wants that. And that's when we decided, hey, we need a one-off product, a one-time paid product, and that is the event pass. 30 days, you pay once and don't have to cancel, and it's separate from our other revenue. Luckily, our other revenue, about 90% of the revenue, is recurring subscriptions, and that's the second flavor we are offering our product in. And in this subscription model, we divide into 2 parts. We have the self-service part and we have direct sales part. The direct sales part is for larger customers, B2B customers, who want or need to interact with a person, with our sales team. You usually get a more expensive and more customized package, and the self-service plans obviously are for smaller, medium companies who are fine to pay with credit card and who buy these plans. The plans are easily extendable, so you can start very, very affordable, and then buy add-ons or increase the capacity of your social wall. So we have a quite flexible pricing system now, which hopefully is a good fit for any type of customer, any type of demand.
And what is the main differentiator between Wallseo and your competitors, and how competitive is your space?
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, as with every software category that is not super new, brand new, competition is tough and fierce and everywhere, basically. We have competitors attacking us from the upper end, like more high value contract value, like more enterprise solutions who are more expensive than us, and we are at the same time attacked from below, from low budget, low cost offerings. So we find ourselves, unfortunately, sometimes in the middle of this, which is not an easy place to be. So it is almost impossible to, or no, let's strike that through. It's completely impossible for us to compete on price alone. We have a competitor in India who are just so much cheaper. It doesn't work like that. Once we talk to a customer, it is fairly easy to explain the differentiator or the USP. I mentioned already this social media aggregator, this core engine. Ours is very advanced, where with a competitor, you might get updates once per hour. We give you updates once per minute, once per 5 minutes. Like you get content way more faster and quicker. We do have the customization, the ability to customization, which is a differentiator, but that's all on a feature basis. So to be honest, it's a bit hard to explain to the customer. If the customer only looks on the pricing page, for them, basically, it looks the same or similar, very similar. So that's why we really have to focus on positioning and telling the right story and making clear why we are better and why we are different. For us, the answer is, while most of our competitors are concentrating on a certain use case, some are very good with events, some are very good with having a widget on your website. For us, the story is, hey, with Wasio, you get the complete solution, which allows you to act like a sort of a hub. You put in social media content, then you play it out on different channels or platforms. That is something we are particularly good in, and that's how we need to position and explain our product to new customers. So that's the approach there.
Makes total sense. Those are my main questions regarding Walls.io and the product.
Okay.
But now I'd love to delve more into the story of the companies, because you started both. Let's compare. When did you start Walls.io and when did you start SWOT.io?
Thanks for the question. I always love to go back into history. It's not super easy to pinpoint this, to be honest, because the history of the company starts a little bit earlier, in 2010.
Okay.
Me and my co-founder, we were just like small little web developers, and we were tinkering away on our computers, and then something happened in 2008. I think Facebook opened their API, so for the first time everybody could add a little bit of code and put it on a Facebook profile, like really on facebook.com, and we found it super exciting. Everyone can publish code there or integrate code there. And of course, nobody cared in Austria, at least, because in Austria, there were like a few thousand Facebook users back then. So there was no business to be made. Luckily, that changed in the next few years. And in 2010, we founded a small boutique software agency, which was called Die Sozialisten. You can still find that name on my LinkedIn profile. And with Die Sozialisten, we were the first in the German-speaking markets who would offer brands, the companies who wanted to start being more active on Facebook, also MySpace still back then and stuff like that. And we were the first here in our region to offer the development of custom applications on these platforms. So, for example, one of our first customers was a very big radio station, O3 in Austria, and they wanted to have we need a radio player widget for our Facebook page. We would implement that. Now, in hindsight, most of these apps were ridiculously simple, like photo contests, a radio stream here, a newsletter site there. But back then, there were not a lot of people who offered that, so we were quite successful. We did that for 2 or 3 years, and then out of this agency business, we generated 2 distinct product ideas. First, SWOT.io. That was, and it depends who you ask, it's really hard to put a needle into it. That was in 2010, we officially launched the first version of SWOT.io. So that's now 13 years ago. It has been quite a long ride. And the second product was a little bit later in 2013 or 14, I think. In both cases, we were building prototypes before that, but I wasn't yet convinced. Will this be a side project? Will this be its own business? And it took me a while to realize, yes, I want to invest into that. I want to take the revenue from the agency and put it into the product. Sometimes I wish I would have been quicker with that decision, but in the end, it was good the way it was. We were able to finance the development of both SaaS products. We were able to finance from the agency revenue, and once the agency revenue, we stopped doing that, it went down, and at the same time, the product revenue slowly went up, which is why we were able to bootstrap both products, both companies, without any outside financing. Took quite longer than of course going the way to get funding for your startup, but obviously comes with advantages in terms of who's in control and who has ownership. So that's a trade-off you just have to make when deciding for bootstrapping.
Amazing story. And now there are two different companies, two different entities.
Yes, and that is the dark side of the story. So we had Die Sozialisten as a legal entity, as a company, and this company was creating both products. So, and that was a mistake in hindsight. I mean, I had mixed both products in the same company, and then fast forward, 30 years later, it was obvious that both products are successful, profitable, and should be their own company. And then I had to untangle both, and that was a very complicated administrative logistic project, and a lot of tax lawyers and normal lawyers. A lot of people made some money with this project, splitting it up. But it was good in the end. In 2019, we separated the businesses each into their own legal entity. Also, of course, the team was already pretty much separated. We had some functions like customer support, which was shared between both products. But then we took the necessary steps to really make it a separate business, separate company, and that was took a while, but in the end was luckily successful.
And now you're the CEO only at Words.io.
Exactly. And one. I mean, there were plenty of reasons to do this split, this spin-off. There was, of course, the administrative reason that it's just hard to manage this mixed business. There was also my feeling that I want to focus on one of the two businesses. I want to be a full-time CEO and have focus on one product. And I learned about myself that it's just not good, neither good for me personally, but also not good for the companies if I keep on running both products. I mean, it's possible, and there's some people in SaaS or in the startup world who are running 10 companies in parallel. Okay. It can be possible, but in my opinion, only if you choose to be only involved on a very strategic level and then have super strong people executing. But you can't go deep on all your 10 companies, right? And for me, the question was, do I want to run two companies on a strategic level and find equally good management? Or do I prefer focus on one business and go deep? And for me, I'm more the go deep guy. And that's why in 2020, 21, I started to look for my replacement at SaaStock, something like that, 2021, I think. And I was lucky. It seems like I had a lot of luck in the last 10 years because I was able to find the next CEO from within our own ranks. So Johannes, who has been my CTO for more than 10 years, was willing to take up the challenge, and together with an outside CEO, so we have two CEO now, who is focusing on the sales and growth side. We have now a super competent CEO team at SaaStock, which allowed me to pull back almost 2 years ago. In the beginning of 2022, I stepped down as CEO and handed over, and I did never look back so far. So
fantastic.
That is an interesting experience, of course, to not be involved anymore, and also be disciplined to not I'm getting back in again, just write a little email. It's very different. It takes some discipline, but I'm very happy because, of course, the goal to focus more on Wasio, that was fulfilled, and I think makes my life easier, and hopefully also the company is better.
I really appreciate the transparency. And how many people are at each company?
So SWATio, actually, it's hard to say because I'm operationally so far removed that I always have to ask. No, I know it because I talked about this last week with my management team. I think we are at almost 45 now. Mm-hmm. And with Wasio, I know it from heart, we are at 21.
Okay. And what would you say was your biggest challenge throughout these 13 years since 2010 or 2008?
There's so many medium and small challenges. It's really hard to find the single biggest one. Maybe I can make a top three.
Sure, please.
Very much what comes to mind immediately is moments when you really feel the pain and feel how dependent you are from other people, from APIs, from social media platforms. Like this year with Twitter, certainly you have to pay $500,000 per year. That's not a very fun situation to be in. Similar, about 4 or 5 years ago, we had a case when Facebook had a big data privacy scandal, Cambridge Analytica, if that sounds familiar. Yes. And suddenly, without warning, Facebook had closed down or changed a lot of their APIs. So these moments when you are driven by external change, where you have basically zero influence, but what these things make to do is they completely eradicate a quarter of your roadmap. There's just, you can't continue your plan. You suddenly have to focus, at least for a few months, on a completely unplanned thing. So that is definitely one of the biggest challenges I remember. I think this splitting of the companies would have been also in my top three, like separating the companies. And the third is, I think, more a general challenge that comes again and again and again. And I would say that is hiring, especially on the C level, on the management level, hiring the right VP of whatever or C whatever, finding the right people for your management team. I think that is a recurring challenge.
Is there a lesson that you can share with us regarding hiring executives?
Very often, I would say, trust your gut feeling. Mostly, even if everything else looks great, if you have not a perfect feeling about it, then don't do it. Even if you can't really explain what the reasons. I trust my gut feeling a lot with personal decision. That's maybe a good. Don't take your time. These things go through a process, and it makes sense to really test each other. Also, for the other side, it's important to get to know you. So don't hire in a hurry. It takes some time to find the right people.
Absolutely. And what is your most successful go-to-market strategy for getting new customers?
In most recent years, I would say our integrations and partnerships have been the biggest driver of growth. Sometimes you have to be lucky as well. So in 2020, when COVID just started, we were very quick to identify all these virtual event platforms as good partners, and that became a big driver for our growth, going to market through these partners, through these integrations. I would call that, but it really depends, of course, on your business. SWATio, for example, is much different. SWATio has been growing mostly through our direct sales efforts in recent years. So it depends, of course, whether you're a product-led company or a sales-led company. But for Wasio, which is more product-led, the part integrations were really a game changer in terms of go-to-market.
What is the future vision for the companies?
So I see both companies have a good opportunity to grow to the next level. And for both companies, the next level in terms of revenue, would be reaching that 10 million ARR goal. So we are in both companies have some time to go there without giving you the exact numbers. So I believe I believe strongly that both companies have a very good chance to remain independent companies. So who are not getting bought or acquired by a competitor or by some strategic investor, but they can sustainably remain profitable and grow to this stage. And there's various challenges depending on the company we're talking about that have to be overcome. But that is something I definitely can see happen. Does that mean an M&A scenario is completely impossible to think of? No, of course not. But it's not my intentional, not my primary wish. Again, I'm a majority owner in both companies. Both companies are profitable, sometimes very profitable. So that means I have no immediate reason to get rid of any of these companies. Quite the opposite. I believe that we have a nice, good trajectory of growth ahead of us, and I would like to keep the structure the way it is right now.
Super happy for you. I have two questions regarding events. I'd love to know more about SaaS Club Vienna at first, and then your experience with SaaStock founder membership.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, SaaS Club Vienna. What is it? It is an informal meetup. You can go to meetup.com and search for it, of course. Also, if any of your listeners who is in the SaaS business ever comes to Vienna, just check if there maybe is a meetup happening. We are unfortunately not super regular right now, so we are more aiming like 3 or 4 SaaS clubs a year. We will do another one in early autumn probably. Okay. I would hope for late September, something like that, but we don't have a date yet. The SaaS Club started more than 8 years ago also. It started as a very small group of people, I don't know, like 7, 8, 9 founders, all in the SaaS space, regularly meeting in a small co-working location, no big venue or anything, and then sharing notes and experiences and questions about our respective businesses. So it was more like a self-help group or therapy session for SaaS founders. Amazing. And it has grown a little bit from there. So we're also doing now bigger events, bigger meetups where there's 30, 40, 50 people in attendance. But still at the core, it's a community of like-minded SaaS founders who are sharing very intimate details. So we are in this small group also quite open with sharing numbers and stuff like that, which can be very helpful if you really have a problem to talk to these people.
And about SFM?
Yeah, basically SFM for me is a similar concept. So for those in the audience who maybe have not heard about SaaStock foundership members, I'm not sure. Yep. So it's obviously a program run by the SaaStock conference, which is now I'm doing a little bit of advertising for Alex, who runs the conference, but I'm always happy to do so. So SaaStock is every year. This year in October 17th and 18th in Dublin. It's a great conference for anybody involved in SaaS, from management, VP, C-level, of course, to the founders and CEO. You can learn a lot of things, and it's great to connect mostly, but not exclusively, with European founders and SaaS people. So definitely a recommendation. The SFM, the SaaStock founder membership, is basically a program on top of that, but exclusive only to founders. That's why it's called a founder membership. So it's a very tight-knit group that is connected through an online platform, through WhatsApp, and I would say mostly also by experiencing a great getaway, a great retreat once a year. So we just had this a few months ago. We were invited to beautiful Mykonos, an island in Greece. And what happens there is around 40 founders meet up. There's some content, some talks, some mentorships, but mostly it's a great way to spend 2 or 3 days with people who either are in the same in the same spot as you are, who know and can feel your pain. So that's the self-help aspect. Or you talk to people who are 1 or 2 steps further ahead, who can actually give you advice on how they have been able to overcome these challenges, because we have all been there. And I think sometimes we might believe we are special and we are the first ones to encounter these issues, whatever it is. But usually a lot of people have been through it already, and the SFM program is a way to facilitate, to talk to these people and share knowledge, help others be helped. It's again, I can only recommend, if you're a founder in SaaS, go to the conference, check out the SFM program. It's really worth it.
Those were the questions for the company and the founding story, let's say. And shortly now on the personal side, I'd love to hear how you started your career right after college.
Oh, right. So in Austria, it's interesting. In Austria, you can do what's called a higher technical school, which is basically you graduate when you're 19, and basically what I learned there is software engineering. Well, at least a little bit. Nowadays, I say I'm an ex-developer because I don't really code anymore, and my engineers wouldn't allow me to push any code into our production system. So they use the word #CEO code, and it's usually not meant in a good way. So usually it's not a positive term. So I stopped developing mostly. I do some little things on the side, but that's where I'm coming from, learning software engineering in this higher technical school. When I was 19, I then did study economics, which was more or less because I didn't have any smarter idea. So I thought I wanted to study, but I didn't really know what. In hindsight, I learned some useful things there, I guess, for running my own companies. So I'm not, it's okay. But that's about it. That's all the formal education I enjoyed, and most of the stuff. And that's so funny, as a bootstrap founder, you have probably also non-bootstrap. For a bootstrapper especially, you are going through all the phases. So in the first few years, I was still developing, coding myself. Then I had to realize someone has to do marketing, so I started to do marketing. And then I realized I have to do sales, so then I did some sales, but I didn't learn any of that. So hopefully was able to self-teach myself the basics. But of course, at one point, as soon as I could afford a professional, I handed over the specific job to someone else. Yeah, so that's my rather short list of formal education.
And what advice would you give to a 20-year-old founder, starting founder?
To a 20-year-old, I would probably say maybe search for a job first. Maybe if you're really 20 and just out of school, I mean, of course, there's people who are amazing who can do this, definitely. But in general, I would probably advise search for a cool and interesting startup where you can work for 2 or 3 years and get like hands-on experience. Be something like an assistant to the CEO if you have no special particular job role already. Learn, take the opportunity, don't rush it, and maybe you will definitely learn something along the way, and only then try to found your first startup yourself. But that's just my opinion. I know that there's definitely people out there who can't wait to get their hands dirty and start as soon as possible. That's of course also fine.
No, I totally agree with you. It's a great piece of advice. And I love to hear your favorite SaaS product apart from your two companies.
That's unfair. I should probably say Tekpon now or the other SFM. My personal favorite, you mean?
Yes. A product that you like using and you'd recommend to other people.
Yeah. Oh, that's really difficult. I mean, there's so many obvious things that everyone is using, which I can't imagine how my day would look like without Google Workspace and Gmail, without Notion, etc. So these are like the basics that I think everyone is using now. I'm just thinking what tool I've recently used or tried out that I would recommend. What comes to mind is Video Ask. I think it's videoask.com.
Okay.
It is built. It is built by the company. It is built by Typeform. So you know Typeform from
Yes.
building surveys. I guess most
Yes.
people will know that. VideoAsk seems to be like a side project or a side product by Typeform, and it's a very simple thing. It allows you to add a little widget on your marketing website on the bottom left, a little video box where you can record a 10-second smartphone video. And instead of using all these pop-ups from Instagram, from HubSpot with these bots, you would just have a human face asking people to book a demo call, for example, or sign up for a newsletter. So it's a very personalized and engaging way to replace those old chatbot pop-ups that you usually see on websites. I like it. I only recently started to play around with it. We have it on our Walls.io front page. If you want to see how it looks like, maybe that's my recommendation. It's I haven't used it for a very long time, but I really like the tool so far.
Thank you very much, Michael. Is there anything else that you want to mention on today's podcast?
Thanks a lot for the invitation. No, I enjoyed the conversation. It's always good to share and remember myself the history of Walls.io, of SWOT.io, and of where we're coming from. The only thing I would really like to repeat: if you are into SaaS, if you are a founder yourself or in a management or a C function, then I would really recommend to check out the SaaStock conference in Dublin. I will bring my team as every year, and it's really such a great experience there. That's really what I would want everyone to consider.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, and I'll see you there. Thank you for joining. You did fantastic.
I'm looking forward, Christian, to see you again. We have met a few weeks ago in Vienna. We had a fun night together with Alex, and I'm sure we can repeat that in a few weeks in Dublin.
That's awesome.